Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I want to talk about real estate agents, real estate brokers, and how the bar is so damn low. So for me, I thought real estate agents were highly knowledgeable. I thought real estate brokers were highly knowledgeable, but I've been disappointed time and time again, right? And it's really funny. I remember one of the first realtors I met in San Francisco, really pretty girl, and we were like trying to look at some deals and really run the numbers. And I remember, they were just trying to say anything to get me to buy, but the more she was kind of talking, the more I realized that she didn't really know much about real estate. And I was shocked because I was like, well, you sell real estate, you tell me that real estate's the best investment, but you yourself cannot run the numbers, the basic numbers on a deal. So I remember looking at a deal and just saying, hey, I want to buy some real estate where I could, rent it out and it would cash flow. So I remember meeting with her. We walked a property and it was a fixer-upper in San Francisco. I think they were wanting like $800K, and it was a complete gut job. So, she did great in the sense of, she was like, oh, I have, property. I have a general contractor team. I have a team that you can leverage. I have lenders that will finance the renovation, that will help you close on the deal. So at least she had that. But I remember looking after, I'm like, well, okay. So after I fix this up, I would do a cash out, the BRRRR, right? I would get a loan, pay off the current loan, the hard money loan. I'm assuming I would pay off the lender, the rehab costs. And now I have a loan this much. And then how much is this going to rent out for? And what's going to be my cash flow on this deal? And she just looked at me really shocked. And I was just like, well, yeah, how's a deal going to make sense, right? I could buy it, I could fix it, I could refinance it. But if I can't rent it and at least cash flow break even on this deal, what's the point, right? What's the point of owning this real estate? Yes, there are other benefits of real estate, right? Appreciation, principal pay down, depreciation, appreciation. But at the very least, it has to at least break even so that you can hold onto this asset long term and not put money out of your pocket long term for this deal. So I remember running the numbers. And I was just asking her, all right, well, after we fix this, let's say I buy it for 800, I put in 200 to fix it up. I'm all in for $1 million. What is this worth? And I remember she was like, oh, it's probably gonna be about 1.4, whatever. And then I said, okay, well, if I were to do a 75% cash out loan to pay off the last loan, okay, this is my new loan. And okay, what are today's interest rates? And, back then it was let's say 4%. And she was like, okay. I was like, oh, I'll punch that in the calculator. And then, I think we came out with some number. I forgot what specifically, but for sake of this example, let's just call it all in $8,000. I'm making it up. Don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember calculating it with her. And I just said, okay, well, my total monthly cost to operate this property is whatever, $8,000. So how much will this rent out for? And she was like, oh, well, maybe $5,000 or $6,000. And I was just like, okay, so I'm cash flow negative $2,000 a month. How does this make sense? And then she just looked up at me and was just like, oh, well, that's a great appreciation. And I'm just like, I don't think it's very scalable if I were to own multiple properties that were cash flow negative $2,000 a month. In fact, the lenders will look at my debt to income ratio and this will hurt my debt to income ratio. And then I remember she just got really silent at that point. It's just there's other, deals out there that may work. So that was kind of my first foray into with a realtor. So honestly, for most of my single family homes that I bought, I knew what deal I wanted to buy. I just needed the realtor there to sign the contract. And I'd always ask for a kickback because I did all the work, to be honest. Right? Because I'm like, well, just give me a kickback, cover my closing costs, and then you make some money. Get my closing costs covered. It's a win-win, right? So the bar was so low. So I was just like, wow, I didn't realize that they're that bad, and they can't really underwrite the deals. They just give you this generic speech they give everybody about how real estate's the greatest investment ever. And, I get it. There's good realtors out there too, but like I would say 95% of them are garbage or terrible. Like probably the top 5%, they're the ones selling all the real estate deals, to be honest. And, I was really shocked. And I remember when I got my realtor for my Huntsville, Alabama property, and she works with investors specifically, but like she herself didn't know how to like underwrite the deals, which was really shocking to me. I'm like, wait, you're just selling all these properties to investors and you don't understand the numbers, right? Like, I'm a numbers guy. Investors are numbers people. So if you want to sell to investors, you better know the numbers. You better have lenders that work with investors. Like that's how I would think, right? But it was really shocking that I had to like probe them to be like, well, hey, like this is what I would want to do as an investor. Like, how can you help? And then like, they're like, oh, let me go research that. So like, like for me, like I already think that way. So it's easy for me to like become a realtor and just be like, well, like this is what I do. Just copy what I'm doing. And you can buy real estate the same way, right? That's the whole point of me creating my YouTube channel and sharing my journey, is just really, this is what I'm doing. You can copy it if you want. Great. Right? If you want coaching, I can teach you, right? You want mentorship, I can help you. But I was just really shocked how like they can't run the numbers. So like I remember talking to the realtor in Huntsville, Alabama. I was like, all right, well, this is the purchase price, whatever, $250K. I'm gonna put, 25% down. So, that's gonna be roughly, what is it, $67,000. Let's call it all in, including closing costs. And okay, so what's the rent going to be on this property? And she was like, well, it's going to be about, $2,000. So, okay, there you go. So I have my down payment, I have my purchase price, I have my interest rate at 4%. This is my monthly, principal and interest payment, which was, I think, came out to be like, I want to say like $1,100. No, that's actually, sorry, that's including property tax, insurance as well. It came out to be like $1,100, or maybe, maybe, I think it was $1,200 a month. And then my property management fee is 10%. So it's another $200 on top of that. I have some HOA. So maybe I'm all in for like, let's just call it $1,500. But my rent is $2,000. So I'm cash flowing $500 a month, right? But you have to factor in vacancies and other repairs. So I said, okay, I put in, $70,000. I'm cash flowing $500 a month. That's maybe $6,000 a year. So roughly, I'm a little bit about 10% cash on cash return on my money. So I said, okay, this makes sense to buy. But then now, like, I remember she brought me a deal like recently, and then I was just like, well, like, let's run the numbers on this. Like, let's see if it makes sense. And I was just like, well, I remember doing the math, and I was just like, so I wanted to do a new construction BRRRR is what I was trying to do. And so they wanted to sell a property for $330, like through Lennar, and I would basically pay quote unquote cash, using cash or using a line of credit on a HELOC on one of my rentals. And I would pay cash or HELOC, and they would discount me from $330 to $300K. So I would save $30,000 and build $30,000 in instant equity. And these properties were appraising for roughly around $350. So if I bought it at $300 using cash / HELOC, it would appraise at $350. So if you take $300 divided by $350, that's about 85% loan to value, right? So now what I want to do is I want to get a cash out refinance using a commercial lender that would allow for an 85% cash out refinance. Those are hard to come by. You probably have to work with a small local community bank that will do that. So she was actually able to find one, which shocked me because most cash out refinances are 75%, maybe 80% best case, but 85 was super rare. So she was able to find a lender that did that, which I gave kudos for. I was like, oh wow, like thanks for like researching that. But I remember I was quoted because I wanted to basically, if I got an 85% loan to value cash out, it'd basically cover my $300,000 HELOC payment. So it's a quote unquote free house, right? Free house. I put in $300 using a HELOC, and then I do a cash out refinance later after it's rented out, and basically own this new construction property of $0 out of pocket. And if I can at least break even or maybe make a little bit of cash flow, I'd be happy. But minimum was break even. So I remember running the numbers. So I said, okay, my new loan's gonna be $300,000. Interest rate was about 7.5, but amortization, they wanted 20 years instead of 30 because it's 85% loan to value cash out. So that's going to make my payment higher. So I put in the numbers. And I remember literally, I think the total just principal and interest was like $2,400 a month. And I just said, well, if best case is rents for $2,200 a month, my principal, my interest is $2,400 a month. I'm already negative $200 a month in cash flow. This is not including property tax yet. This is not including insurance yet. This is not including your property management fee of 10% yet. This is not including HOA. So I'm gonna be out of pocket this much money per month. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I said, maybe if interest rates are lower, if they're like at maybe 4%, maybe it'll work. I'll buy these all day. I'll buy one a quarter, right? I'll literally buy one a quarter, and I'll document my journey and share it with you guys. And by then I'll be a realtor, so I can refer you guys, and then I'll get a piece of the pie, right? Right now I just do it for free out of good faith and goodwill. So really I was just like, yeah, run the numbers. It makes no sense. Like, I don't want to buy cash flow negative real estate. And, but she was like, oh, well, appreciation. I'm like, yeah, well, appreciation, you're not banking on that, right? Like, you need cash flow today. So, unfortunately, Lennar and these builders, they're not very negotiable. It's either, you pay $330 or you pay all cash, quote unquote, you buy it for $300 and you close fast. So, I wish it would work. If it worked, I would do it all day. Like I said, it's a free house, new construction, no renovation, just got to rent it out and then do your cash out refinance and you're golden. So, like I said, like I really had to push her to think like an investor, and, she's at least stepped up to the plate. But like, I'm like, wow, you've been doing this for 20 years and you haven't thought about that yet. And, going on next to like commercial, real estate brokers, I met so many, and like, they sent something called a pro forma on the offering memorandum, or the OM for short. And I remember looking at the numbers and I was like, okay, so basically your rents that you're assuming are going to be like $900 a month. And this is in Oklahoma. I'm like, I know, I own in Oklahoma. It's going to be $700, $800, realistically, right? 900 to 1,000. You're shooting kind of high. I looked at their expense ratio. They had it at 35%. And I was just like, are you shitting me? Like, I own 2 apartments and the expenses are minimum 50 to 55%. So there you go. You inflated the income, the rents. You lowered your expenses because, insurance was too cheap. CapEx was not factored in. And you're trying to inflate this NOI so you can charge a higher price. And now the seller has an unrealistic expectation of selling this property for, let's just call it $5 million. But if you look at the true NOI and the true cap rate, maybe they can only sell it for $4 million. So when I give you a $4 million offer, the seller's gonna get mad because their expectations are already $5 million. So that's why I bought all my apartments off market, direct to seller. Because once I have a broker involved in the deal, it's no longer a good deal. It's gonna be a bad deal. So that's why I go straight to seller, because I've never had a broker bring me a good deal. I take that back. I have one broker bring me a good deal. But by the time I was buying my 26 unit, which was a home run deal, and I didn't think their deal was that great, and I turned it down. But I wish I bought that one because it was a 20 unit, not too far from my 26 unit apartment complex. I remember they wanted about $33K per door, and I bought mine at $18K per door. But looking back, $33K per door would have been pretty good. But it failed in comparison compared to my $18K per door, right? Which is like hard to get nowadays. But that's the power of buying off market, right? That's why I teach direct mail. That's my whole mentorship program. We set up your direct mail campaign and you negotiate with sellers off market, and I help you do that and help you negotiate a right price that makes sense for you and makes sense for them, right? And we do creative financing that makes sense for them, makes sense for you. So that's how I play the game. And, once again, like I've never had a real estate broker that was actually good at what they did too, right? Like once a broker gets a deal, the price is overinflated, to be honest. So that's why I go straight to seller. So at this point, I realize how low the bar is to become a real estate agent, real estate broker. So I'm like, well, I could probably do it and do better than them without much effort, to be honest, right? The hardest part, it's just getting somebody to want to buy real estate or want to sell their real estate and use you. But everything else is easy. But I'm probably super investor friendly because I'm an investor myself. Like I want to buy deals, right? I want to buy deals. I don't want to sell real estate. By all means, I'll sell real estate, but like ultimately I want to sell real estate, make money from that to go buy real estate myself, right? Like that's the name of the game, and it's just another way to make money for me. And I already know how to do it so well. So like, why not, like I'm not going to buy all the properties in Huntsville, Alabama. Like I can help sell some properties in Huntsville, Alabama and get some commissions and some easy money, right? Like I said, if I can do a new construction BRRRR, I would shout at the top of my lungs to share with everyone else to do that. So yeah, that's kind of, the name of the game there. And what's inspiring me to become a realtor, or I could, train my future wife to become a better realtor than 95% of them out there, right? Like the bar is so low. It's so low, right? It's so low. So you could definitely come in and dominate the industry, but you have to really know how to work with investors, and because investors want to scale their portfolios. So anyways, just wanted to share my experience of working with realtors at all phases of my career, and how the bar is so low. Even when you go to commercial real estate, the bar is so low. And yeah, just give me your thoughts, give me your opinions. Curious to have what questions you have. If you want to join my mentorship program to buy some multifamily real estate, check out the link down below. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.